Gurmagat Ceann Comhairle. I beg leave to announce for the information of the Dáil that I have informed the President that the Dáil has nominated me to be Taoiseach and that he has appointed me accordingly. This government will need to be both energetic and laser-focused on delivery, on housing, on health, on helping families, farmers, small business, on equality of opportunity for all and on empowering people with disabilities, on security and on exerting our influence in the world. With that in mind, I move that Dáil Éireann approve the nomination by the Taoiseach of the following deputies for appointment by the President to be members of the Government. As Taoiseach to the Departments of Foreign Affairs and Defence, Micheál Martin; to the Department of Environment, Climate, Communications and Transport, Deputy Eamon Ryan; to the Department of Finance, Deputy Michael McGrath; to the Department of Public Expenditure, NDP Delivery and Reform, Deputy Pascal Donoghue; to the Department of Education, Deputy Norma Foley; to the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sport and Media, Deputy Catherine Martin; to the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage, Deputy Darragh O'Brien; to the Department of Social Protection and the Department of Rural and Community Development, Deputy Heather Humphreys; to the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine, Deputy Charlie McConalogue; to the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth, Deputy Roderick O'Gorman; to the Department of Health, Deputy Stephen Donnelly; to the Department of Justice, Deputy Helen McEntee; to the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, Deputy Peter Burke; to the Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science, Deputy Patrick O'Donovan. I propose to nominate Rossa Fanning, SC, for appointment by the President to be the Attorney-General. I propose to nominate Deputy Hildegard Naughton as Minister of State in the Department of Taoiseach and as Government Chief Whip, and I also intend to appoint her as Minister of State with responsibility for special education and inclusion at the Department of Education. We've provided the biggest budget ever for this area. It is a priority area for me and one in which I want Deputy Naughton to work on with Minister Foley. I also propose to nominate the following to continue as Ministers of State in attendance at government meetings: Deputy Jack Chambers as Minister for International Road Transport and Logistics at the Department of Transport, as well as Minister of State for Postal Policy at the Department of Environment, Climate and Communications; Senator Pippa Hackett as Minister of State for Land Use and Biodiversity at the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine. I also propose to nominate Ceann Comhairle Deputy Jennifer Carroll McNeill as Minister of State at the Department of the Taoiseach and the Department of Foreign Affairs, with special responsibility for EU affairs, and as Minister of State at the Department of Defence. Our relationship with the European Union and our role within the EU is more important than ever at this time of geopolitical uncertainty, and I look forward to working with Deputy Carroll McNeill on these issues. Tomorrow, I will propose further deputies to serve as Ministers of State, and Cabinet will consider their appointment tomorrow. With these appointments, I believe we have a team with the right mix of experience and new talent to build the new social contract I talked about earlier, one which renews our promise as a republic to create equality of opportunity, to support those who need the state the most, to protect our hard-earned economic success, and to use its benefits to deliver tangible outcomes to society. First and foremost, this government is going to continue to elevate our level of ambition and urgency on housing, because we want to make sure young people see their future in Ireland. We're going to build more homes, and we're going to continue to drive home ownership. We're going to examine policies that are working, like the waiver of development levies, and working with colleagues to make sure such policies can remain in place. In Ceann Comhairle, over the past 8 years, there has been unprecedented investment in our health service. The budget has actually doubled. Outcomes have improved for many conditions, leading to people living longer and healthier lives. I had the privilege as Minister for Health to bring the Sláintecare implementation plan to government. People are beginning to feel the benefits of Sláintecare: free GP care for more people, the abolition of inpatient hospital charges, the extension of the free contraception scheme, and the introduction of the new consultant contract which Minister Donnelly has led on. This government will increase capacity and will improve access in our health service. This means opening more beds, more theatres, and recruiting more GPs, more hospital consultants, more nurses and more therapists. Mental health, I'm sure everybody in this House can agree, is one of the greatest challenges facing us as a society, and I'll work with colleagues to introduce the Mental Health Bill and to continue to reform our mental health services. Of course, an ability to do all of this is dependent on a thriving economy, and I believe in Deputies Donoghue and McGrath we have the experienced team to continue improving infrastructure and services for our people and to guard and mind our economy at these challenging international and geopolitical times. Implementation of the National Development Plan will be an essential driver of our ongoing economic success. I look forward to working with both ministers on the Summer Economic Statement so that we can continue to convert our economic success to real and tangible benefits for our people. This government understands that it has been a horrendously difficult year for farmers owing to the weather. We'll help you get through this with Minister McConalogue, build on the fodder transport measures already announced today with practical supports. At Ceann Comhairle, I also know small businesses are hurting. I know there's an awful lot coming at them at once. I want Minister Peter Burke to bring his passion and drive to the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment. I want him to develop a number of practical measures which will ease the burden on small businesses in the near future. I've asked him to work with our local enterprise offices to ensure they're maximising their capacity to provide grants, to provide mentoring and training to small businesses in each county, because small businesses are the backbone of the Irish economy. We all know in this House that families continue to struggle with the cost of living. The Government has taken a number of measures to assist in relation to that. This Government will continue to help with the cost and the availability of childcare, and we as a Government intend to fast-track legislation to include childminders in the National Childcare Scheme. I want Minister Heather Humphreys to extend hot school meals to more schools. I want her to make thousands more carers eligible to receive the carers allowance, and I want her to report back before the budget on means-tested payments for family carers. I've also asked Minister Humphreys to prioritise the auto-enrolment legislation, along with her work on options to address the impact of minimum wage increases on employers' PRSI contributions. I believe we can and we must continue to break down any barriers that exist to education. In my previous role, I'd worked tirelessly over the last number of years to try and cut the cost of accessing third-level education, because nothing should stop a person from reaching their full potential in this Republic. I'm now tasking Minister Patrick O'Donovan with continuing to drive forward that work, and in particular to focus on developing new pathways for people into further and higher education. I've asked the Minister to prioritise labour force planning and the strategic development of the skills that we need, both to deliver housing in the here and now and for our future economic success. I want him to continue increasing the number and the variety of apprenticeships, and I'm charging him with working with Minister McConalogue and delivering on my commitment to establish new vet schools in rural Ireland. At Cloncorla, as you've heard me say, I intend to prioritise law and order, to work to make our streets safe and to end the scourge of antisocial behaviour in our communities. Minister Helen McEntee and I have had many great conversations on this in recent days and weeks. Garda recruitment is strongly recovering after the pandemic under her leadership, with 746 trainees entering Templemore. She has worked to negotiate the highest budget for the Gardaí ever, over 20% higher than when this Government entered office for the first time in 2020. We've doubled the maximum sentence for assault causing harm to 10 years. We've increased the sentence for conspiracy to murder from 10 years to life. We've increased the sentence for assaulting a Garda or an emergency worker from 7 to 12 years. In reappointing Deputy McEntee as Minister for Justice, I'm working with her and tasking her to continue her momentum of delivering stronger, safer communities by continuing to fast-track legislation to give judges new powers to make sure heinous criminals serve long sentences before they can ever be considered for release. Bring in body cameras and up-to-date technology to help...
Interruption, please.
Bring in body cameras and up-to-date technology to help Gardaí in carrying out their work. Expand prison capacity, Deputy McNamara. Bring forward new measures to increase penalties for knife crime and antisocial behaviour. Give the Criminal Assets Bureau more powers to strip criminals of their assets more quickly. And we will also work with our European partners to ensure a firm and fair migration system. This country is a welcoming country. This country knows the benefit of migration, but Irish people want to know that the system is firm, that the system is fair, and that the rules are working. As Taoiseach, I will also convene a Dublin City Centre task force to chart a path towards a safer and vibrant Dublin, because it's time to have pride again in our capital city. Tonight, as we hold our first cabinet meeting, this Government will establish the Cabinet Committee on Children, Education and Disability. I am determined to put a focus on disability. It's about breaking down silos across government and making change happen more quickly. We are determined to bring new coherence and faster progress on solving the issues that matter most to people with disabilities, and I know that aim unites all three parties in government. I'm committed to building on the good work of the Child Poverty and Wellbeing Programme Office established by my predecessor, Deputy Leo Varadkar, and we will make more progress on that in the next budget. At Cloncorla, the Irish state has a proud history of peacekeeping and making our mark in the world. We punch above our weight, and we have a responsibility to bring our influence to bear on global issues like migration, climate, international conflicts and human rights. We've built strong relationships with our European neighbours, and we'll continue to work in partnership to uphold our shared values and objectives. I'm proud of the shared partnership which has been built by the three parties in coalition since 2020. This Government will be founded on that mutual respect, and together we will work day and night to fulfil the ambitious agenda we've set out in our programme for government. Now let's get to work.